Owners are giving the term fire and ice a whole new meaning. Listen to this. There's this dangerous way of removing snow. Use an open flame to melt ice dams and ultimately are setting their homes on fire in the process.
Yeah, so how can you safely remove what Old Man Winter is kind of building up on your roof line and through here and not cause any damage? Joe Palumbo, president of the Ice Dam Guys, joins us with some tips. Joe, I like the fact that you're on the front lines of this. First of all, explain to our viewers this morning how an ice dam forms.
Hey, Jim. Hey, Jordan. An ice dam is really, it's nothing more than a ridge of ice that forms along the overhang, along the drip end of a home or business, any sloped roof. And as any roof, it's going to melt some amount of snow, whether it's from the heated living space inside or Mother Nature. It's going to melt some snow, and as that snow melts and runs down the slope of the roof, it hits that overhang, and that overhang is colder because there's no heated living space beneath it, and the ambient air is circulating around it, and it freezes. And that just happens over and over, and 1 inch at a time or 1 millimeter at a time. That ice grows to a point where it's a wall, a dam that water can no longer get over, and it pools up and ends up in your house.
Right, and obviously if you have a roof that doesn't see sun exposure all that much, those ice dams could probably last an entire season. If you're that homeowner, what can we do to prevent it from building up in the first place?
Once the ice dam's already formed and you end up with a leak in your house or it's dangerously large, you're really limited. You can get the snow off your roof, right? Or we recommend people stay on the ground using a roof rake, get the snow off the overhangs or as high as you can reach. Other than that, and maybe turning your thermostat down 10 degrees and grabbing a blanket, that'll reduce the amount of heat being pushed into your attic, and which would also reduce the amount of snow being melted. That's really all you can do.
Joe, I got to ask you, just looking at some of the video that we showed on the, before Jordan just asked the question there. I mean, these are huge icicles and cakes of ice, in these troughs on your roof. What is the average weight of these?
Oh, thousands of pounds. I mean, it depends on how long. And the biggest thing about an ice dam that you can't see from the ground is you see that thickness, that a foot thick, 2 feet thick, 6 inches thick, but you don't know how far it climbs up the roof. Sometimes these ice dams will literally climb up the entire roof to the peak. It depends on, how poorly the attic is insulated and ventilated. But I mean, SUVs in terms of how much weight they are, we're throwing off chunks 20 pounds at a time all day long.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so how does it leak into the roof? Does it get under the shingles, or does it create a little gap between the fascia? What happens?
Yeah, so as that ice dam grows, the water is still melting, running down the roof, and it can no longer get up and over that dam, so it pools. And as you know, shingles are meant to shed water, not hold water. So once the water begins to back up, it gets up underneath the shingle and it goes right through the seams in the plywood that are beneath the shingle. Now, some people have a lot of, it is code to have some ice and water shield, which is a rubber membrane that goes a few feet up the roof. But once the water backs up farther than that ice and water shield, that's when it ends up going through the shingles, through the plywood, the roof decking, and into your attic.
And then you hope your insurance will cover it, or else you're footing the bill. Joe Palumbo, president of the Ice Dam Guys, thank you so much for the intel.
Yeah.
Obviously, in these snow environments, so
and get guys like Joe to come in and put that electric heater wire up there to constantly be melting this. That's the best way to do it.